Hi, everybody from SPC. This is Steve Lapkoff, and I want to give you a quick lesson on how to prepare your images for export for image competition. Now, at our club, we have a need of having images submitted at a resolution no larger than 1920 in the horizontal dimension by 1080 in the vertical dimension. As well as selecting 100 dots per inch as the resolution. Now, to do that in Lightroom, which is this particular example, I'm going to give you a workflow of how to do it. So the first thing you want to do is select the images that are of interest that you want to export. You then right-click and you go down to the Export button and you go to Export. Now, you pick hard drive and you tell it where you want to put the images. And I'm going to put my images into the desktop and on a folder called Example Exports. You then work your way down these menus, and we're not going to rename them in this instance, although we could. And I'm going to get down here to JPEG, and we do want JPEG for this export. And you could go anywhere between 80 and 100. 100 is higher quality, 80 is a little bit compressed. And this is the important one here, resize images to fit. And if you put in 1920 by 1080, what's going to happen is, and the image resolution should be set to 100. What will happen is this will export images exactly as you'd like for your image competition submissions, 1920 by 1080. Now, if your image is long and thin, this still works because what it will do is size it so it'll be no wider than 1920 and no higher than 1080. But if the proportions don't fit 1920 by 1080, or in this case, it's 16 by 9, it will create the export such that its widest dimension would be in that proportion. So let's do a quick export and I'll show you that. So I'm going to hit export and it'll crank for a second. You'll hear it go bing in a moment. And there are the images. It opened up the example export folder for me. And as you'll see, I have two images and they'll both be of that boat. And I'm going to go just to prove things to you to get info. And what you'll see here in the get info piece is that the images are, in this case, 1440 by 1080. Now it's 1440 by 1080 because the image resolution can only fit in a box 1920 by 1080. And Lightroom is smart because the proportions of the image are only 1440 by 1080. It maximizes to 1080 and goes laterally only to 1440. This would be a submission-ready image, just as is. And it has some metadata. It also tells you when it was shot, things like that. So this is the way to do your image exports. And then you would take this and rename it to whatever it might be. It could be the assigned subject underscore title, I believe is how it goes, assigned subject. So this would be Long Island sound boat underscore Labkoff. And that would be how I would submit this image for image competition. That would be I believe that's the naming convention, the code, the title, and then the maker. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, there's other applications that can do this as well. And I'll do a separate video for how you would do that using Photoshop, and another separate video for how to do it with Adobe Bridge. Thanks for listening.